afternoon, everyone. How are you doing today? Hopefully you're enjoying our live webcam that we have here of our Blue Cavern exhibit. Stacy, who's going to be the one doing a lot of the visuals behind me. Stacy and I were just talking about how this is actually really lovely right now. You get to see a lot of animals that you don't normally get a chance to see. Some of them include our sheephead, which is right about there, and then also our leopard shark too. Now you're asking, well, that's nice, Jen, but I'm here to learn about squid. Oh, looks like there's something else going on. The eel! There it is. Well, let me, oop. Right there. Kind of. There we go. Oh, can you tell it's the afternoon? My goodness. Now, if you're wondering, that's great, Jen. Thanks for showing me that eel, that sheephead, that leopard shark, you know, and if it doesn't excite you, that's okay, because maybe you're here for the squid. Now, these are some of squid predators, so it's kind of fun to be able to highlight them, and they're not always out. So this is primo opportunity. But once again, for those of you that may be joining us for the first time, my name is Jen. Joining me is Stacy, who's doing all the controls, and then we also have Carrie answering a lot of the questions for today. I have these gloves on because we're going to be talking about squid, you know, the importance of them, and getting a chance to maybe delve inside of a squid. So if you're one that may be a little bit squeamish about looking into animals, this is just a heads up. We're going to start with the external anatomy, the outside part first, and then we will eventually move inward. But I just kind of want to give you a general idea of our game plan for today. Now, if any time throughout our exploration, our squid exploration, squid-sploration, if you will, you have any kind of questions that you're wanting to know about, please feel free to go on ahead and text us right down here, 562-286-1838, and please do remember that texting rates do apply. So if you happen to be a younger one, please make sure that you do get permission from an adult before you text us today. But in the meantime, our goal, yes, is to be able to learn about squid, but it's also to focus a little bit on structure and function, right? These are two words that we're going to be exploring a little bit more today, and we're going to apply them to our squid. But the cool thing is, once you learn a little bit about how to figure out structures and what their function is, then you could apply that to a whole variety of animals. And we'll get a little bit more into what structure and function might mean once we go on ahead and get started. So we are going to be doing a lot of our focusing on our Elmo camera today. That's where the magic's going to be happening with a lot of our squid. And so we'll get that going in a little bit, but we'll also be utilizing some really cool footage as well to kind of help understand and pepper what we're observing today for our squid. My goodness, tongue twisters abound. All right, so what we're going to do is I'm going to first bring up our squid on our plate. It has passed away, and where we get our squid are actually from a food bin here at the Aquarium of the Pacific. And so these squid are caught out in the wild in a very sustainable manner, so one that doesn't really affect their populations out in the wild, as we try to do sustainable seafood here at the aquarium as a whole. And we went ahead and we took a few of those squid that would sometimes be fed for our animals. We took the extra ones, of course, never want to leave our animals hungry. And we have brought them in to the studio to be able to talk a little bit about them. Now, just to kind of get our squiddy minds warmed up and going, here we have a picture of a squid, a little bit right behind me, right over here. And so, what do you notice? Well, I kind of see, a big eye, right? Just looking right at you, one of those big eyes. All right, so what else do you notice? Kind of like I don't know, maybe if you stuck like two ice cream cones together, right? That's kind of like the body shape. Can you tell I'm thinking about getting a little ice cream later? And also, if you go ahead and you look at these parts right here, what are those? Well, good news is we have a full squid that we can go on ahead and investigate together. And once again, say we're talking about structures and their function. If you're like, structure, function, who's a what? What does that mean? So if we think about a structure, let's say let's say frog legs, for example, right? Frog legs, you can kind of picture them in your mind, all right? I think I have those in my head. That's a structure, right? It's a part on an animal, right? And so if we think about what do those frog legs help our frog to do? What is their function, right? Well, they're kind of long. They kind of look as if they look springy, right? They can move. So I could probably think that the structure, those frog legs, help our frog to actually jump, right? So their function is that they can jump. So that's what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be looking at a lot of different structures, body parts on our squid, and we're going to try to figure out what do they do, right? All right, so let's go on ahead on over to our document camera to check out a squid. So I'm going to go ahead and turn on the document camera because that's probably a good first step. Now here I have our lovely squid. Looks similar. I'm going to turn on the lights a little bit better. I'm going to have that adjust and see if that helps us out. Got to take a little tweaking here, but I'm going to focus in a little bit more on our squid. Move it about so that way you can get a better view of our squid right here. All right, so for our squid, I'm going to make it all nice and pretty for us to be able to look at. Let's go ahead and let's start out with the very part of our squid right over here. Now, the type of squid that we are looking at is called a market squid. So it's the same one that you would actually make calamari out of. You would use mainly this piece right here, which is known as the mantle. And maybe you might use some of the tasty parts right here as well. Now, let's go on ahead and focus in on those parts. You had a chance to see it a little bit better when looking at our picture that Stacy had put behind me. But let me see if I can move our squid a little bit more. And let's make some observations, shall we? So I'm going to zoom in and see if we can get a focus as well as still get a chance to look at some of our squid bits right here. All right. So what do you all notice? Are all of our little wiggly friends the same size? Well, I think I see some longer ones right here, right? I can stretch them out. It's about as far as they go. But these shorter ones, well, they're definitely a lot stubbier. And if we count them, see how many of the stubby ones we have. We have 1, 2, 3. That's a long one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 8. Now that kind of reminds me of their cousins, the octopus, that also have 8 of these arms. Now, these squid also happen to have 8 arms, and they happen to also have these 2 long tentacle parts right here. Now, if you went ahead and you noticed that these were not only smaller, but also had a little bit of a different texture on them, and notice some suction cups, you are absolutely right. So these arms right here, what do you think they might be? What do you think the purpose might be? What do you think that function might be? If we have this structure right here with all these suction cups, what do you think they might be used for? And also, these long tentacles right here, or I'm sorry, yes, what do you think they might be used for? Well, if we go on ahead and we get even kind of like a illustrated view. So we're going to be having Stacy pull up another example right here. Here we have an arm, and there we have a tentacle, right? So the short stubby ones and the very long ones. Now, these suction cups, if you notice, were all along the arm. It was from the very tippy end all the way down into the main body of our squid, right? We went ahead and we saw all of these suction cups. But if we looked at our tentacle, it's kind of hard to see. Off of our document camera, it's tricky to be able to see those suction cups, but they're only on the very tip. So that's interesting. How do you think these squid maybe catch their food? Let's go on ahead and take a look back at our squid, shall we? All right, so if you went ahead and said that maybe these two tentacles are the ones to grab the food, you are correct. Once that food is grabbed, all of these tentacles, all of these arms, right here, bring the food all the way into the very middle. Now, the middle we'll explore in just a little bit, but there's this really cool video that I'm interested in sharing with all of you about their cousin, the cuttlefish. So these cephalopods, they range from octopus to squid to cuttlefish and to nautilus. But we have a great cuttlefish video, and I'll give Stacey a moment to grab that video real quick. And it shows it actually using all of those long tentacles to be able to hunt and be able to grab their food. So let's see if we can be able to bring that up. There we go. So you can see, there it goes, right? It goes on ahead and it grabs it with those tentacles. You can also do it with me. Right? So it goes on ahead and it uses those. So you can see this crab's very flustered. Definitely a tasty morsel for our cuttlefish friend right there. Now it's really cool too, as you can see it change color, right? Changing, it's like pulsing and changing colors and textures a little bit. So that's really cool that our cuttlefish can do all of that really neat stuff. Now if we go ahead and we look at our squid, right? Our squid's color, it's kind of brownish from what we can see here. But if we go on ahead and continue to look, whoops, sorry, I almost spilt my other little surprise back here. All right. Here we go. We'll move back a little bit. We can see a little bit more of the actual color of our squid. Now it looks a little bit more brown on your screen than it does on mine right here, but you can see that it actually has kind of like a lighter side, and it has a darker side right here. Now, if you happen to have watched Stacey's Puffins to Penguins, or Penguins to Puffins, I always get that mixed up, you may have realized that she talked a lot about countershading. And so our squid have a little bit of that too. They have a little bit of a darker part. Maybe I should move over on the other side. A little bit of a darker parts on the very top that we see here, and they're actually lighter underneath. So, if you're not familiar with countershading, how do you think that dark top and light bottom helps an animal to camouflage if it has nowhere to hide, if it's in the very middle of our water column? If you're thinking, if you're a predator maybe looking down, yeah, that squid might be really hard to see, right? It gets deep and dark down in that ocean, and so it may be really tricky to be able to see that coloration. Now, alternatively, if you happen to be a predator looking straight up, right, it's a lot brighter because the sun and the light, it's all up at the very top. And so same thing for these squid, right? They might be a little lighter underneath. Now, much like their octopus as well as their cuttlefish friends, they can change color, and they have little teeny tiny dots all over their body to be able to do that. You might be able to see some here, and here's an awesome visual. Oh, this is perfect, right? So this are chromatophores, and they're opening and they're closing and they're stretching, and so these are just little color sacs right here. And as they open and as they close or contract and open up, that allows them to be able to really change textures and or more like colors. So, squid can't really change textures all that much, but it can definitely help them to change color to be able to, well, what do you think? How do you think they're able to use those colors? Now I noticed in that cuttlefish video, it was really excited, right? And it was changing colors as you had a chance to watch it hunt. So maybe it was camouflaging. Here's a great video, right? It almost matches that background really well. That's incredible. And it moves so quickly too. Let's watch it again. Wow, it's changing a lot of colors. So expressive, right? So, sorry, squid hands here. My glasses were falling. So with these animals, they go on ahead and they're able to even communicate with each other, right? So maybe that squid's like, I'm really excited, or that cuttlefish is like, I'm really excited. I'm going to change lots of colors. I'm going to hunt and try to find my food. These squid can also do the same. They can camouflage either to blend in, maybe from they're wanting to shy away from a predator, like our leopard shark that we talked about, or a moray eel, or maybe they're excited to find their food. Now, we haven't gotten into what their food might be just yet. I did that on purpose because we're going to try to get a better look at their mouth parts in just a little bit. Right, but these chromatophores are really incredible parts of our squid that help them to really express themselves. I like to express myself with cooking, but if I could change color, I would too. All right, let's go on ahead back to our squid. All right, so here we have our little squiddo right here. And with our squid friends, we're focusing a little bit about what they eat, right? We know that they can change color. And that's really cool to be able to kind of blend in. But if we think about their food, it's right in the middle here. Oh my goodness. Oh, there it is. Haha. If we look between all of these arms and all of these tentacles, I'm going to try to zoom on in here. Woo! Quite close. Ah, yeah. All right. So, looking here, if you notice this little teeny tiny black dot right in the middle, that's where its beak is. Yep. Much like its octopus cousins, these squids also have beaks that they use to go on ahead and tear into their delicious, delicious prey. But let's think about it. What do you think they might eat? I mean, its beak is quite small. I mean, here's my finger. Well, you can kind of see my fingernail, right? Just a little bit. So it's much smaller than my fingernail or anything else. So much so that I had to zoom really deep down in. Now, if you notice, there might be some, almost looks like a white donut that's around the outside edge. And that are kind of like its muscles that help the squid's beak move. But if we go on ahead and we try to get a better view, you can kind of see part of the squid's beak. Now I'm going to grab some of my tweezers here so I can point to different parts. Sorry, my hands are just naturally shaky, so don't mind me. But you have one beak here, and then the other beak on the other side. We can actually kind of maybe even pull out not only its beak, oops, there's one part right there. Whoop, come on off, beak. Oh, now it's stuck to my glove. All right, we got one piece out. Now, let's try to grab that other piece. All right. Now, it's getting a little tricky. And I think I'm going to do a little something fun for all of us. So what we're going to do is I'm going to zoom out a little bit. And I am going to take out not only the other half of the beak, but also that entire muscle that surrounds it and the part that's attached to the beak. Now, if you're thinking, wait, what? Jen, you're going to grab that esophagus too? Yeah, we are. It's getting really exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab and I'm going to pull and see that little stringy part right there? You got it, the esophagus. I know, you're asking, can your day get any better? And now it has, right? You've now seen the esophagus of a squid. All right. Now, unfortunately, it seems like the other half of that beak does not want to come out. Aha, there we go. So we have it right there. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit. Because this thing is wee, right? It's quite tiny. All right. There we go. You can kind of see it right there. Now that is just one of the two parts of a squid beak, which is pretty cool, right? So if you can imagine that this squid right here goes on ahead and it tears away, little piece by piece, right? What would you think? With an esophagus super small, like size of hair small. What do you think it might eat? If you're thinking maybe plankton, right, because it's really tiny, yeah, potentially they could eat, maybe like krill, stuff like that, some maybe small shrimpy, delicious friends. But they can also go on ahead and maybe eat away at some fish. Now, what's really cool is that these animals right here not only have that beak in the esophagus, but they have something called a radula. And that radula is basically like a a tongue with a lot of teeth on it that mows along. So it shreds the food as it goes through the beak and into that esophagus, which is pretty cool. Now that's a shared feature along with snails. That's how snails are able to kind of graze and eat, which is pretty fun fact, I think. All right, so we've now had a chance to figure out how it's able to blend in, how it's able to catch its food. Well, I mean, a lot of my food goes into my tummy, right? So let's go on ahead and explore the inside parts of our squid so that way we can get a chance to learn a little bit more about some other structures that it has. All right, so in order to do this, I'm going to flip my squid on over and I'm going to zoom out some more. There we go. Okay, so here we have our squid friend, and we're having it belly side up. All right, and with that belly, I'm going to go on ahead and open up our squid by using our scissors. So now we're going to be opening up our squid, just to let you know. And we are going to cut the squid open. Now, as I do this, Everett is asking, how and do squid blink? Everett, I know, right? They have such a large eye. Sometimes I wonder that too. One time I had a staring competition. Let's just say I lost. Found out, squid? Nope, they don't blink. Not like us. All right. So, here we have our open squid right here. And as we go on ahead and we look at our squid, well, does it look to what you expected? For me? Kinda. That's only because I've dissected a few of these in my lifetime. But if we look at this, it does look kind of odd, right? I mean, their blood is actually clear, which is pretty incredible. And here we can kind of see everything, all the organs on the inside are kind of white or lightish in color, all except for this little friend right here that looks a lot like a fish. Well, any guesses to what that might be? What? I think I heard it. Did you say ink sac? Yeah, you're right. It is their ink sac, right? So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to cut that ink sac open so that way we maybe can get a chance to be able to see what some of that ink looks like. All right, so here we go. Looks like a silvery fish, I know, but trust me, it's its ink sac. And so we can now kind of get a chance to see, and I can zoom on in a little bit here now, right? You can see some of that ink slowly coming out, right? There we go. We can see a little bit of that ink just slowly coming out. Now, any thoughts to why they might have ink? What might be the purpose other than a tasty squid ink pasta? Well, if you're thinking maybe to kind of defend itself, right? To maybe squirt and create a shadow so that way they can squid away. Yeah, that's definitely one reason, right? And so it's a really cool way to basically kind of create like a little shadow or a little distraction so that way they can get away. So it's a pretty cool adaptation, a pretty cool feature that these squid have that help them to be able to survive. All right. Now, as we go ahead and we look at these squid, one of the things that we talked about earlier was about how these chromatophores help them to not only get their food, right? But it also helps them to be able to find a girlfriend or maybe a squid boyfriend around. And so you're wondering, Jen, tell me, how can you tell the difference between a boy or a girl squid? Well, I think, former Jen, that's a great question. Let's look into it. So, if we look at our squid, and just to kind of zoom out to give you an idea of the orientation, right? We're kind of looking at the head portion of our squid right here, and then we have the rest of the body right over here. And the way we can tell is actually by looking right up here. Now, the type of squid, and I'll zoom in a little bit more, that we happen to have right here is a boy squid. And the way that I can tell that boy squid is because all right up and down here, boy squids are white. That's because, well, that's where all the sperm is located, all within this area, this gland right over here. Now, I happen to have another squid with me, which was the fun surprise I wanted to share with all of you, and I think we may have a girl squid, but we won't know until we open it up together. So, let's give it a try, yeah? All right, loving that enthusiasm. All right, here we go. Hopefully I'm making a drum roll at home. Sing. Oh! We have another boy squid. That's okay, though. Oh, look at that. That ink sac. It's pretty big. All right, so once again, we have another boy squid. If it did happen to be a girl squid, though, all of this area right here would be filled with kind of a plump yellow jelly. All right, so that is definitely one way in which we can go on ahead and tell the difference between a male and a female. Now, I know Stacy also has a video to kind of show, to highlight a special gland that females have that males don't. That is called the Amento Gland. So here, as I mentioned, kind of like that yellow jelly, right, is where you'd be able to tell if it's a female, instead of the white that we saw earlier that would have the eggs. But females also have this special white part right here, this white organ, and that's called the Amento Gland. Probably asking, well, what does it do? We already have eggs up there. Well, the Amento Gland is a gland that basically secretes or puts out the casing to the eggs. So the way that these squid eggs work is that there's not just like one egg in an egg case. There's a whole bunch. There's like hundreds of eggs inside of just one of these casings. So if you kind of imagine a sausage or a hot dog and how you have the meat and then you have the case on the outside, kind of a similar thing here. This is what makes that case. And so it's pretty cool to be able to see that special gland that females have that males don't. Now, we do have several questions that are popping on in, so let's go on ahead and see if we can answer them. Aleka, part of the Pine Mountain Club in California, thanks for watching and joining us and checking out our squid dissection today, is asking, how big can squid get? Isn't that the ultimate question? Well, there are some squid that can get quite large, about 60 feet large. Any guesses which one it is? It's all good. The giant squid right here. Ta-da! Right, so these giant squid can get up to 60 feet long. That's right, it's pretty huge. And as a matter of fact, you think something that big might be easy to find in the ocean, but believe it or not, scientists have known that these squid have been around because they've washed up on shores, but they haven't actually had a chance to really see it, like, one, in person because they live kind of deep, but two, they're not extroverts. They're not like, why, hello, scientists, nice to meet you. They are really, really hard to find. It's only as of recent that we've been able to get an actual video of a giant squid in real life, and it's absolutely fascinating. So this is a video by Noah, and this is a really cool video that shows they're in the deep dark, right? And so that's why you can't really see too much that's going on. There is a little light there, and if you notice, there starts to be maybe some arms and tentacles. They're checking it out. Isn't that incredible? I don't know why I'm whispering. It's not like you can hear me. Isn't that so cool? And so this is by Edie Witter, and so it's a really cool video that showcases that giant squid. Now, it's hard to really see its full size, but I mean, that's how elusive or that's how shy they are, right? They're not really like, why, hello. They are very they're cautious in how they move. So, Aleka, hopefully that answered your question. Josh and Brandon's asking, can they see in the dark? Can they see images or just shadows? Now, with this squid right here, we talked about how big its eye is, right? So if it has a really big eye, what do you think? Do you think maybe it can focus more on using its sight as a sense? For sure, right? And so these large eyes help them to gather in a lot more light to be able to come in, since they live in dark places like we saw. Some squid do kind of live in the higher up area, right, near the surface, so they can see. But that really large eye really helps them to be able to see that much better. So way to notice the large eye, right? That's a really big structure, and you had a pretty good guess on how it actually functions. So thanks for asking. All right, and Everett is asking, what are their predators? Now if you happen to have missed out on our blue cavern showing right before this class started, we had some eels, we had some sharks, and then we also happened to have some fish that were available too. Oh man, our leopard shark's right there, which is absolutely fantastic. You don't ever get a chance to see that, so it's really cool. I don't know if our eels out too. Man, this is fantastic. Wow, what a treat, friends. All right, so these are some of the predators, but people are predators too. If you like a good fried calamari, right, then this animal's for you to munch on, right? So there are a lot of different predators. They're kind of in that very middle area, which is why they're so important, is because if we didn't have squid, then we'd miss out on a whole middle part of our food web, right? So these animals are really important. So important, that's kind of important to know from Brielle, who's asking from Torrance, how do squids go potty, right? I know! So, there is one part of our squid. I think this is a great way to end because I'm all about the excretory system. And so, we're going to take a look a little bit at, this is an octopus, but this part right here. Any guesses to what that part is called? The siphon! Yes! So, the siphon is a great way for animals like octopus or squid to be able to shoot out any unwanted matter that it so chooses, right? So that's how it's able to go to the bathroom. They're able to use that siphon to be able to get rid of a lot of that stuff. If we look at our squid through our Elmo cam for that siphon, because that was a great video, but if we look at it on here, boop, there it is. It's kind of that donut shape right there. And that is that siphon. Now, these animals also use that siphon to be able to swim and to move back and forth. They use something called jet propulsion that helps them to do that. So here's a great video. You're seeing it sucking in water through its mantle or its body, and then it's pushing that water out through that siphon right there. And so that's how squid in particular really is able to use that siphon, not only to move, but also to use the restroom too. Because in reality, every once in a while, we all have to use the restroom, right? And so now we have a better idea of how squid are able to as well. All right, friends. I just want to say thank you so very much for joining us for our squid dissection and investigation today. Hopefully you all learned a little bit about structures and functions, and maybe if there's an animal out in your backyard and you're wondering, I wonder why that bird's legs are so long, maybe you can think about it a little, watch it move around, and maybe you have an answer for how those long legs function. All right, well, thanks again for joining us. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to seeing you back here tomorrow at our online academy. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.